Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to watch this demonstration on meaningful use, how to achieve the core and menu measures using the MTBC EMR. This video demonstration will be on core measure number 3, maintain a patient problem list. Let's get started. First, let's open up the PDF from the MTBC website relating to maintain a problem list. The eligible professional meaningful use core measure number 3 out of 15 is for maintaining an up-to-date problem list of current and active diagnosis codes, and the measure for eligible providers is 80% of all unique patients seen by the eligible provider have at least one entry or an indication that no problems are known for the patient recorded as structured data. And what this means is 80% of all unique patients. Unique patients, as we've defined in an earlier demonstration, are patients who may have been seen multiple times during the 90-day reporting period. They are only counted once. So for 80% of all unique patients seen during the reporting period, at least one entry of a diagnosis code or at least an indication that no problems are known for the patient should be recorded as structured data. And there are no exclusions for this measure, which means that all providers interested in achieving meaningful use have to meet this requirement. And let's take a look at some definitions. So a problem list, a list of the current and active diagnosis codes, and those can be stored in ICD-9 values, and we'll talk about that in the MTBC EMR. Up to date simply means that the list is populated with the most recent diagnosis. And then let's take a look at the attestation requirements. Here we have the scenario of numerator and denominator attestation, where we find that the denominator is the number of unique patients seen by the eligible provider during the reporting period. So you'll look at an entire 90-day sample, and the 90 days of your choosing during this year where you've met meaningful use and you wish to demonstrate meaningful use. So what is the total number of unique patients seen by you as an individual provider during that reporting period? And then the numerator should be the number of patients among that denominator who have at least one entry of a diagnosis or at least a documentation that there is no known diagnosis for this patient. So that is how you'll provide attestation to Medicare and Medicaid to report that you've met this requirement. So now let's go take a look in the EMR how this is achieved. When you're in the MTBC EMR, you can open up a patient's account directly from the patient search. So find the patient of your selection, and here again I'll open up Esther Johnson. And Esther Johnson's demographic information is now displayed. We can go directly to her chart. Once we're in Esther Johnson's chart, we can go to the assessment section and view all of the current and active diagnosis codes for this patient. And here we can see that she has a current list of diagnosis codes that include chronic airway obstruction, asthma, hypertensive heart disease, and let's add another diagnosis. To add a diagnosis, simply click into the blank line at the bottom, and you'll open up your diagnosis code search. What will be displayed is a list of your most commonly used diagnosis codes. To select a diagnosis code, simply put a check mark in the box to the left of the diagnosis code. Additionally, if you cannot find a diagnosis code on your most frequently used list, you can use the search tool at the top of the diagnosis search window and enter any diagnosis code, description, or code of your choosing. Let's go ahead and search for asthma. When we search for asthma, we'll find a list of all of the available codes that include the word asthma. The codes that are in red are now expired and cannot be used for documentation. So let's go ahead and select a code that's not in red and click OK. Now we will have those two new diagnosis codes added onto our list. If you have a patient that does not have any known assessments you'll simply select no known assessments from that assessments window. And let's go ahead and do that for a patient of our choosing. Let me search for Mary Smith. We'll go to her assessment section, and we can select no known assessments. Selecting no known assessments is the same as documenting a diagnosis code for the purposes of meaningful use core measure number 3. Remember that you will need to document a diagnosis code or no known assessments for 80% of your unique patients during your reporting period.